So, so following that,
Yeah.
how did, what were the first decisions you made? If you're going to actually do this thing.
Right. So that the other shoe fell when I realized that I had said yes to this enormous thing and I had no idea what it was. I mean, it just sounded gargantuan when I allowed myself to think about it rather than feel into it. And so the first thing actually was another one of those synchronicities that happened. I ended up actually going the second time with a man who lives in the East Bay, who would become the medical director of an integrative healing center, which was his dream. Um, and the man that became the lead investor in our for-profit holistic clinic called Health Medicine Institute. So they both said, John, this was the vision that one of them got through John of God, and they said, if you're in, Kay, to do everything non-medical, let's do it. So we ended up actually coming back to the Bay Area and starting that immediately. So I learned, I've always been passionate about healing. I was a cultural anthropology student through graduate school, always interested in alternative modalities, had experimented a lot myself. I worked with Native American spirituality and learned how to pray and how to forgive myself and others. And so this seemed like the natural next step while I figured out what Global Force, now called Global Force for Healing, was about.
So you quit your previous job and you had a job with this medical institute?
So it co-founded it, was the first CEO, and I left after getting it to break even and
Huh.
getting it to a place of stability and finding my replacement, which was my promise to them. Yeah.
Wow. So as you proceeded from there, I'm interested if you can give us an example of uh, one challenge that was really a big challenge for you, and how you dealt with that.
Besides the enormous, the elephant in the room of what the heck is this? So I went on a
Uh,
very deep and broad quest to find where the gaps were. So just the first dilemma was, what is this, and who am I to do this? So a lot of it was the exploration. The gestation of a baby is 9 months. Well, this baby gestated 9 years while I was accumulating more and more experiences. So I think that was the first challenge, is kind of getting my arms around what this is and having the courage to go forward. And then the second one was related to that, once I had more definition of Global Force for Healing, was the courage or the chutzpah to raise money for what seemed like myself, and in a fairly abstract thing, convening a network of healthy birthing projects in remote and indigenous areas, um, and somehow finding a way to pay myself. So because I had left my job as director of Soul of Money Institute, that was the second thing I did for 5 years during this gestation period, learning how to raise money and convene larger and larger groups and project management and so on. So I think those two were pretty darn enormous. I mean, it felt like it at the time, and retrospect, it still feels that way.